Hi everyone, and thank you so much for joining our live stream today. My name is Kate Hateva, and I'm a founder of Career Pathway Institute. We are a nonprofit organization that helps internationals to build their careers here in the US. And our main focus is dependent visa holders who put their careers on hold following the dreams of their spouses. And most of them, they can't work due to visa restrictions or any other reasons, and they are facing such challenges as career gap, lack of industry knowledge, no relevant network, and mental health issues, and much more. So today we have a very special guest who've been in this situation, and she knows how hard it is to be on dependent visa and not be able to pursue your dream job. And today we will talk about career and visa journey, from stay-at-home mom with F2 to a full-time engineer at big tech with H1B. And please welcome our very special guest, Kani Amurzakova, who is a consulting engineer at Cisco. And Kani came to the US with her husband back in 2015. While in F2, she enrolled in a programming bootcamp, then joined the apprenticeship program at Cisco, and upon completion of the program, she was offered a full-time position in the company and later was sponsored for H1B. Thank you so much, Connie, for joining us today.
Yes, hi Kate. Thanks for having me today.
And I already introduced you very briefly, but could you please tell us more about your immigration story? And let's split it on three parts. So the first part, let's talk about what you was doing before moving to the US.
Mhm.
Then let's talk about this time when you've been on F2 till the time you've got your own H1B,
Mhm.
and then what you're doing now.
Okay.
So what
Yeah,
you were doing before coming to the US.
of course. So I'm originally from Kyrgyzstan, Bishkek. So before coming to United States, I was an internal auditor in Baker Tilly International. It's an audit company. I used to work with my husband. We were colleagues, and while working there, I wanted to pursue MBA in United States, but due to cultural and family um, situation, it wasn't the right time for me to do my MBA. So I motivated, kind of pushed my husband to do his because we were in the same industry and either of us could pass the test and get the application done and apply. So Ivy thought that it was the right time for him. So he went ahead, applied to MBA programs in the United States. He got into several, but we chose to go to Duke University in North Carolina. At that point, we already had a 3 months old daughter, so we came with her in 2015 to Durham, North Carolina. And immediately when my husband started his MBA journey, I was in F2 and I wasn't able to work. I stayed home with my little baby. And while he was doing MBA, I wanted to also do it. But, and I thought, okay, I was in finance industry back at home. Is it something that I want to pursue here? And then I started researching, I started talking to people, I started networking. We had a really good network from Duke because my husband was there. I was exposed to this huge Duke University community too, these very smart people from all over the world. And talking to them, networking with them, I understood that I have to try IT. So I started researching where can I learn IT, be it like online or should I go somewhere in person. And while researching that thing, I came along with the boot camp, which was called Code the Dream. It's a really nice nonprofit organization which helps the minorities, the women, the people who are transitioning from different careers into IT. And it's a nonprofit. It was free. The only thing we had to do is to apply and go through the application process, which was Also 3 stages. We would do the tests. We would write like motivational letters just to prove them that we are motivated and we really want to learn IT and we understand how hard it is. So we won't back up in the middle of the program because they they wanted someone who would commit because the program was free and they paid for the teachers, they paid for the facilities. They wanted to make sure that it would be someone who would finish the program. So I went through that. I got in, and there were around 50 students in my cohort, and they just started. When I learned about this program, they just started that year. It was 2019. I started the program at the beginning of the year, like beginning of February. And I started learning how to code. It was very exciting. It was very challenging too at that time. I had 2 kids already, and my second
Wow.
son was a toddler. He was 1 year old. And this program I was supposed to go in person 3 times a week during the weekend and 2 days during the weekdays. It was evening program from 6 to 10. I would leave my kids with my husband when he was done with his studies and job, and I would go and study. It was something totally new for me, and I was scared, honestly. I used to ask my husband, "What if I don't get it? What if it's too hard?" And he said, "You will not know until you try." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." And once I was in that program, once I saw the people who were just like me, who were scared, who were not sure, we would motivate each other. We would help. We would stay up late and do homework together. I think that support that I got from my peer students helped me a lot to go through that. So I was in that program for 6 months, and after that, when it was coming to end, I knew, okay, I'm on F2, but in order to get in order to apply, which people usually do after the program, after the boot camp, they start applying to different jobs. They go into market and start applying to different jobs. But I knew, like, I can do that because no one wants to hire at F2. And then I explained my situation to the director of the bootcamp program. And she told me, Kanye, I'm so sorry. I wish I could help you, but I know there is an apprenticeship program at Cisco, which is next door. And Cisco has a huge campus in RTP. It's a Research Triangle Park in North Carolina. It's a very a big multinational company. I'm sure they will sponsor your visa. Just let's go ahead and try that. And I said, thank you. And she put me with people, and I learned about the program. About it's called CTIP, Cisco Talent Incubation Program, and it stands for. They also do the same. Pretty much, it's a boot camp, but they call it their incubation talent program, because they also hire people through very rigorous selection. They also want to make sure that people coming, they will commit to learning, because networking is very hard. And for me, it was something different too. I just learned the hardest thing in my life, programming. I know how to code now, but now I need to learn something different. And I've never come across networking besides telling my husband, "Can you please fix the internet for me, because I don't know, it's broken." And at networking industry, when people hear other people say the internet is broken, they're like, "Oh, please don't tell me internet is never broken. It's never broken. It's just your cable. It's your computer, but internet is never broken." And I'm like, okay, how would I know? And that's how I started my networking journey. I also went through the selection program, also did interview. I had to learn a lot about networking. Even before applying, I thought that I'm becoming the networking engineer, because they required you to know already a lot of things before starting the program. And it was a little challenging. I reached out to people who worked at Cisco at that point, friends of friends, husbands of friends, and I would call them at night and say, "Please explain me this. I have no idea what the router is, what the switch is, what are these protocols. Can you please? And I would sit on the phone, or sometimes you used to do Skype call or Zoom call, and they would explain and they would show me, okay, Kanye, this cable goes here because of this and that. And I learned everything by heart. I knew the processes, the protocols by heart, but I did not understand. And they told me, like, you don't have to understand, you just have to tell them that you are committed, that you've done your homework. And when I came there for the interview, it was like a panel interview, as if for a job, like you go to different rooms, you talk to different people, and they actually ask, and they even made us make a case, a presentation, solving some Cisco's problem. And I just prayed when I was there, they don't ask anything like besides, outside of the scope of this problem. And when I came, there was this guy who said, like, Kanye, I can see that you know, and I also can see that you don't understand most of it, but your commitment, the thing that you've studied so hard and you're trying hard, it's good enough for us. And that's how I ended up in this program. It was hard. It was very hard. I used to cry. I used to tell my husband, maybe I should just wait out until you get a green card. I'll just be with my kids because networking is so hard. I thought programming was hard, but networking is even harder. And he said, like,
Yeah.
you can quit if you don't quit. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like immigrants, it's hard for us to quit because in our home countries, we are raised not to be quitters. If we start something, we have to finish it. And with that mindset, I kept going. I used to, and it was twice hard for me with kids. I used to wake up at 4, 5 a.m. in the morning before my kids would get up and get ready for their preschool, school. And I would sit there like 2 hours with their like fresh mind. I would learn and learn and watch videos. They gave a lot of learning material, and every week there was something new. And they used to give so much that it was hard to absorb this material during this week. And we had to pass the test. It wasn't that kind of program where you just do it was also 6 months, and at the end you pass the test and they tell you whether you pass or not. Every month you were supposed to pass the test, and if you don't pass the test, you're out. At the beginning we had like 300 people, and every month there was like 25% out and out. It was very rigorous, and it gave me so much stress because no one wanted to be out. But finally I made it. I passed all their tests, and they said, okay, good. Yeah, we are hiring you. They sent me the full-time offer. And then I had another problem. Okay, I have this offer, but I can't like technically legally work because I'm an F2. And then at that point, my husband helped. It was a huge help from business school, I would say, because that's how he learned from business schools that there are many students, especially international students, and I think it's a problem everywhere, no matter whether it's a Stanford business school or a Harvard business school, is that international students during those 2 years of MBA or like 1 year of masters, they try to get a job, land a job, right? And they land a job in the middle of their program. So by the time they're done with their school program, they already have some kind of visa. But some people, they even though they land the job, they get the offer, there's this H-1B lottery, and not everyone wins. It's, I think the percentage is 33% of people only get the lottery, and there are two chances. So and some students are not lucky enough to get 2 years in a row, and then what they do is they apply to a different program in another state, in another college or grad school, where they do CPT. CPT is a curriculum practical training. While you are studying at that grad school, they give you an opportunity to work. And at that point, my husband said, okay, I know some of my classmates didn't win the lottery 2 years in a row, but on the third year, they applied to a different grad school just for the sake of getting this visa and being able to work. But of course, they had to pay money. But well, there wasn't any other what do you say, escape from this situation, right, besides going back to their home countries. And he said, like, I think we could do that for you. That's how I applied to private university in Michigan. And yeah, I also had to take all those GRE, all those tests, because no one just like accepts you without those tests, right? So I had to study for those. So I
Wow.
applied, I got in, and they told me, okay, yeah, here's the classes, and but at the same time you can start working. They sent me the documents for this for CPT, and with that CPT documents backed up by the university, I could work. And yeah, we had to do it very fast. And I think at that point, like, our friends who have gone through that at my husband's business school really helped me. So that's what I did. I applied at the beginning of the year, and I got the answer like within a couple of weeks, because they understand the situation of the students. I think those private universities, they deal with such students a lot, and they know the time constraints, so they do that process very fast. So I got all my documents within 2 weeks, and I provided it to Cisco. Okay, here you go, I can work. And they're like, oh great, that's awesome, but let's start your H1B immediately. And I said, yes, please, let's do that. And that year, I applied. They applied. They sponsored my H1B, and I got lucky. I won the lottery the first year, and I was like, oh my god, finally, the sun is shining onto my side. And but I decided to still finish my grad school. I took classes remotely for 1 year and a half. It was a 2 year program, but I took many classes during the summer, and I finished in less than 2 years. And yeah, that's how I ended up at Cisco. And the culture at Cisco is really nice. The work life balance is great. I used to work in person even when COVID hit. Um, and I think it's good that I did, because when you start out in a different industry, learning something new, it's so important to have your colleagues next to you. If you have questions, you can go and just ask, please, can you please look at it, or can you help me, I don't get it. And in networking, we work a lot of the time with the hardware and software. And hardware, you actually go to the labs, to the data centers, and see how those machines work. It's hard. And theoretical part, of course, you can learn it, but until you see and touch all that hardware, it's hard to like grasp the idea of what the networking is. So I thought that was a really good opportunity to have a hands-on experience with all its hardware. That's how I worked at least Cisco's lab in RTP. And once I felt confident, okay, I know the hardware, I've touched all of Cisco's portfolio, I've touched every machine they have, and I know how these things work. What can I do next? And then I started thinking, how can I grow next? And at that point, I remembered that I can code. Like, oh my God, I can code. So how can I incorporate my coding skills into networking? And then and it was obvious at that moment is that Cisco is switching to the network automation. They're trying to automate all the processes. If before an engineer had to work with one single box, trying to troubleshoot, trying to configure, manually going into the CLI, and writing those commands. Now, if you know how to code, you can write a script and push those commands like to thousands of devices, because Cisco, um, it supports like many companies around the world. One of the biggest is Walmart, for instance. Like, Walmart has 6,300 stores only in United States. And in each one of those stores, there are so many Cisco devices sit there, because those devices are responsible for the machines at the cashier. When we go to check out, we need to make sure that those checkout systems work. That's Cisco's job to support that. We're responsible for all those um, cameras at Walmart to make sure that when we go in, we connect to the Wi-Fi at Walmart or Target, just for example. And when we connect to the internet, it's these all processes are provided by Cisco. Just to give you an example, and in order, and because there are so many companies which are high scale, so many devices, automation comes in place. You can do this everything manually. To have one engineer go sit and deal with one box, you can have one engineer who can deal with thousands of boxes with scripting. And then I thought, okay, this is my opportunity. I can script. I know the foundation of networking. Now I can combine those two skills and put it into network automation. And then I started applying to different jobs within the company. And yeah, very quickly I found a job, and they were very happy. Plus, Cisco is a very male-dominated industry company, and they always try to help women, encourage. And when they saw that I have good technical background, they said, yeah, please come and work for us. That's how I transferred to the San Jose office in California. But it was remote, because now I could code and I could work from anywhere. They didn't need me to go and work with those boxes or like a data machines in the data centers anymore. And at that point it worked out well, because my husband changed the job and he also landed a job here in Silicon Valley, and we both moved a couple of years ago to Silicon Valley. I still work from home. Right now I'm leading an automation team at Cisco. I mainly support very high profile customers like Walmart, as I mentioned as an example. I make sure that their tasks, like manual and networking tasks, are not manual tasks anymore. I automate it. I try to automate every single thing, so people don't have to do anything manually. And yeah, that is my current position and situation.
Wow, I have so many questions. So let
Yeah.
me try to ask those questions one by one. And by the way, if people have their own questions, please don't hesitate to drop them in the comments and we will show them on the screen. So, first of all, please help me understand the timeline. So, from the time you arrived to the US back in 2015 till
Mhm.
the time you started to be a leader at Cisco, like you have your own team, like what was the timeline? When did you find the boot camp, then the
Mhm.
apprenticeship at Cisco, then grad school, and then you started to work?
So I started bootcamp beginning of 2019, and
Mhm.
it's already 2023, right? So it's four and
Yeah.
a half years.
Wow, it's pretty fast. So just in 4 years, when you was on F2, you landed your own H1B, and now you a leader at the Cisco.
It seems like it's been forever, honestly. Yeah, well, and within those 4.5 years, I had a third child. Now I have three.
Wow,
Yeah, so
congratulations.
thank you.
That's pretty exciting. Just to understand that um, when you're persistent, when you know what you want, when you have a clear
Mhm.
goal, when you have support and resources, you can
Mhm.
get that far. From the point A, when you're not allowed to work, to point B, when you're already leading a team.
You're right. You're right. And yeah, it's really due to support that comes from husband. From my husband, it came because he was a tech person too. He knew the challenges, and he knew that at some point I would want to give up. But I think he was ready. He used to give me the right advice. He always used to tell me it's hard. I understand it's hard, and just him acknowledging that it's hard, it helped me. It motivated me more. And I would say, I know it's hard, but I can do it. Yeah. So, and support from colleagues too. Uh, I've worked with great people. He used to tell me, even when I was about to give up, they used to say, Kanye, you can do it. You've come so far. just can you imagine like a year ago someone used to say like you didn't know what networking is, and now you can already do so much, and other people would say, oh wow, Kanye, like as you are saying, Kate, like it hasn't been that long that since you started, and you're doing great and all, and hearing those words, it helps a lot, you know. Sometimes like we women, sometimes we need like a one good word from someone, one push that comes from be it from your friends, be it from your family, who says that you're doing great. And yeah, it helps a lot. It keeps you going. And plus, the kids, they motivate a lot too.
Let's talk a little bit about the challenges.
Okay.
Besides the visa restrictions,
Mhm.
that you basically tie it with your hands and you can do anything,
Mhm.
how you overcome other challenges. Like, for example, when you had those times when you was about to give up,
Mhm.
like, okay, I gonna wait for the green card. I don't want to do all this hard stuff. I'm just gonna wait. I'm going hiking. I'm going drink coffee. Like, how you overcome these mental challenges?
I know. I think, yeah, it would be an easy way if I could just say, my hands are tied. I can't do anything about it. But people around me, just seeing how other people are pushing through, because we used to live within the student community, right? Where people struggle. And I saw other people struggle too in different areas, not necessarily with visa, not necessarily with school or job, like struggling mentally with mental health or like a physical health. I would look at them and say, well, people have much more struggles, and I'm healthy. Everything is good. It's just like I need to put those hours. For me, the challenge was just to put those hours in order to get good at anything. Just keep learning, keep learning, keep putting those hours in, and one day you will get it. It will start working for you, even though it seems impossible right now. And the other biggest challenge for me was like time constraint, right? With kids, it's very hard. You have much less time for anything, for school, for job, and managing family and work. It was tough, but I, I, as I mentioned, I had to wake up very early, and I had to go. I used to go to bed early too to be able to wake up early, and then I the time management was for me is concentrate on fewer friends, concentrate on fewer activities, prioritize, prioritize everything, and then stick to the schedule and do not slip from it. Of course, we are human beings, right? Sometimes you don't want to do. You wake up in the morning like, oh, I don't want to start my day. I hope it's like 9 p.m. again, and I could just go to bed and have more sleep. But people around me used to motivate, yeah, like with words, even like just looking at them. And like people come to United States through many hardships, you know, like it doesn't come easy. Even like for people from my country, it might be easier coming for grad school. We are lucky enough to be able to come for grad school. Many people cross the walls, right, to get here, goes through terrible conditions to be here, and we are lucky. That's what I used to say. And I used to compare myself to a year before, to the year when we got, and we didn't have a lot of money, like not many opportunities. And and I used to say, I'm doing better, much better than last year. Next year I'll do better. I should just keep going.
I
Yeah.
love it. I also have another question to you about the navigating these visa applications and hardships. How did you learn about all this stuff? Did the grad school helps with all the papers? And then the lawyers at the at,
Kate, I'm so sorry. My baby's crying. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. My
of course.
colleagues, my work, they're so used to my kids. I forgot to lock my door. Sometimes they knock on the door all the time until I open, like, Mom, I want to eat. Oh, Mom, I want to sleep.
So you have two jobs, two full-time jobs,
Right.
being a mom and working for Cisco.
Yeah, definitely. So you're saying where I get help with.
For yeah, with the visa. So when you've been on F2, I guess that the
Mhm.
school of your husband help you with documents. Then when you apply for um, CTP, that the
And
your grad school helped you with documents, and then Cisco helped you with everything. So you wasn't looking for your own lawyer for any advice from legal.
no, it was all friends. It was friends, like
Wow,
networking. You just go. I said we were lucky enough to live in the student community, and the students face different issues. One of the main ones is visa, and we used to talk. Okay, this is the issue that I have. How do we deal with that? So, in just talking to people, networking, and asking like for suggestion, for advice, and yeah, like internet searching, because there are many, there are great resources, the forums that come from Indian and Chinese as
yeah,
students too, because they struggle the most, because there are so many of them and not that many opportunities. And I feel like there is a solution for every problem. You just have to search for it. You have to search for that solution. And yeah, I used to ask people and search and just try it. And I used to fill out all these documents myself.
wow.
Yeah, I didn't use lawyers consultancy services. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you will be at that stage one day.
Oh, thank you, Svetlana. I would love that.
I just have a couple of questions about the boot camp.
Mhm.
When I was talking to you earlier, and I told you, Kani, your story is incredible. How did you learn about all this stuff? Like, how did you learn about boot camp, about apprenticeship? Well, I understand it's from the boot camp, but from where did you get all the resources? How did you put this career path for yourself?
Um, for instance, when I decided to go back to school when my second child was 1 year old, I started, as I mentioned earlier, I had to figure out what I want to do next, because I've been home long enough for 2 years. I have to start. And I think it comes internally too. I didn't. I did not agree with the status quo. I wanted to do more for myself, for my family, and I also felt bad that my husband was pulling family and financially too. And in a personal way, it's hard to be dependent on your husband all the time, documents wise and financially. And I wanted that independence so desperately. And I wanted to get out of the house too. Like staying with kids, it's very important at the early age too. But at some point, you want to develop further, and that's when I started talking to people, researching, and how I decided to go into IT. And once I knew, okay, I want to learn how to code, I want to learn how to program, and then I started looking, oh, what do I do? I want to learn this, but how do I do it? And I started looking um, at the programs, like at a university, the boot camps, and at that point, many people around me were doing boot camps at different places, and we were at a financial hardship at that moment because we had a huge loan from Duke for my husband, and he was paying off that loan, and I couldn't afford even like a 10K boot camp at that time. And I thought, if there are like paid boot camps, they might be unpaid too, like free ones. And that's how I found about the Code the Dream. No one told me about it. I just like Googled it. Okay, North Carolina, in my city, are there any free boot camps? That's how I found about it. And I reached out to them immediately. And they said, yeah, you can apply, please do. It's just like constantly asking, questioning, and starting and keep learning. And yeah, with those goals, of course, my husband helped me. And from networking, you kind of build a journey for yourself. You talk to this person, you talk to this person, and all those people, like very smart people, they give different advice, and you cherry pick from their advice what relates to you. So that's how I found the boot camp. And at the boot camp, when I told people openly, I would love to keep doing this. I love programming, but what do? I have this huge impediment, the visa. And that's how I started talking to my classmates sharing my story with my classmates, with friends, and even with the director of this bootcamp. I went up to her, I reached out to her, and I told, here's my situation. Can you please advise what I can do? Or maybe I can work for you for free. I just wanted to get this experience. And they said, of course, Connie, you can always work for us. We would love to get your help. We would love to keep giving you help. But we also want you to be able to earn money because you work so hard. How can I help? And then she thought about it. She took some time and she got back to me like, Kanye, I just talked to a friend and she told me about this program at Cisco. And I'm like, oh, yeah, let's do it. Let's try. Like, it doesn't hurt trying, right? Even if it doesn't work out at the end, like, I will still meet a different person with different perspective. And that's how I ended up at Cisco. And at Cisco, also, like, people motivated me. I looked at people, oh my God, these people are so smart. They can do this and that. And when I looked at people who knew how to code and they were doing great things inside their position, inside their teams, and that's how I remembered, okay, I can code too. Maybe I can learn something and I can contribute on a bigger scale. And that's how keep like people keep motivating you. And you know what, like recently we have one of these great programs where we invite the Cisco invites some very well-known people around the globe and to give a speech to the employees. And the recent one was Michelle Obama. They invited
Oh,
Michelle Obama, and I listened to her advice and insights. And one of the one of the great things that I loved about her speech is that she said, "I'm here because I was never afraid to reach out to people. Even if people said no to my request, they said I don't know to my questions, I would not quit reaching out. Even if I didn't know this person, I would write an email. I would try to set up a in-person meeting through friends, through colleagues, and I never quit reaching out. Because when she was a lawyer, and at some point she understood she doesn't want to do it for the rest of her life, she started reaching out to the mayor of Chicago, to other great organizations, just asking like, I'm a lawyer, I'm well educated, but I want to do something more. How can I help? That's how she started reaching out to people. And one of the people who, when came back to her, it was the mayor of Chicago, and from someone from the office of the mayor of Chicago reached back to her and said, "Yes, you can help us. This is how you can help us," and that can really relate to me. I was never afraid to reach out to people. If I knew someone is doing great things, and I would get so inspired by like, how do I do that? And if I didn't know how to do or what that person is doing, or I would just reach out to people, to that person. And ask like, I want to do this, I want to help, how can I do it? And I think, yeah, that's one of the things that I did, and it helped me in my career.
it's so inspiring, and I wish a lot of people will learn about your story. And we almost run out of time, so just the last question to you.
Mm-hmm.
What piece of advice would you give to yourself 8 years ago when you just arrived to the US? And
Mm-hmm.
what other people on dependent visa should know learning from your story?
um, it's a good question. I feel like I did a lot of the things that I would want to do right now. uh, okay, let's see. What I would tell is, I wish I could start reaching out to people earlier. I wish I thought about what I wanted to do next in the United States a little earlier, because it took me some time to figure out, and it's okay, you know, it's totally okay, because different people take different time to figure out what they want to do in life, what they want to do next. Because coming to different country, um, especially with a child and who is so dependent on you, just trying to figure out the life not only for you but also for your child, it can be very challenging. And different people take different time. And the only advice I would give myself, like, I wish I could figure out it earlier. And but other than that, I think I did my best. I did my best. And I think there's like my life principle in general is do never um, do things that I would regret later of never doing it. Sometimes I want to do a lot of many things right now, and I say like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do it. I have already so much on my plate. I will just skip this opportunity. But then I say, if I skip this opportunity, I'm going to regret about it. I better try, and even if I fail, it's okay. Then I will just say, okay, I did my best. And yeah, that's what I would tell myself too. Like, Kanye, you did your best. I just wish you figured out it a little earlier then, but I still did my best. So I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I guess people can reach out to you on LinkedIn. We will put the link on your profile in description below. Also,
Mhm.
please don't hesitate to drop questions in the comments. We will um, check it frequently, and we will ask you, and we will ask you to comment. And thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, Kate, the last thing I wanted to add is that because you and I've been through this, I'm at this point of life where I want to help people. I want to help especially women who are sitting at home, not sure what to do with their lives. It can be very stressful trying to
Yes.
figure out, when there are so many impediments, and one of them being visa issues. And that's how I got involved with Femigrants, because I'm there not to get something for me from other people. It's just I feel like it's time for me to give back, because I've had so many great people, be it men or women, who've helped me through this 4.5 years. And now I feel like I'm so ready to give back and help any way I can. That's how I got involved recently with tech women too, for professionals in tech who are coming from our countries, from Central Asia, from Europe to United States, and trying to figure out their career opportunities in big tech. So, what I'm saying to our listeners today is that I'm willing to help. Please reach out. Never be afraid or shy or nervous. You can just drop a message. Okay, Kanye, here's my situation. Can you please give a piece of advice? And I'll gladly do that.
So much appreciated. And can you just mention one of our favorite community we are both part of? It's called Femigrants. It's
Mhm.
for female immigrants, and we also can put the link in the description. So if you are interested, please join them. They will have an event in September, I guess. So
Yes,
check out for
the
the
end of
events.
September. Yeah.
Yeah, and please join our community as well. Please subscribe because we have events like that one on a regular basis. And if you have an idea what kind of topic you will be interested in, or you have a guest speaker in your mind, also reach out to us. We will be very happy. And
And thank you, Kate, for doing this. That's incredible that you're doing. Like, I love social entrepreneurship. Thank you so much. You're really helping those women out there. I wish I had someone like you when I was starting out. Then I would have figured out things much faster. So the
me too.
advice that I would give is like, I wish I found someone like Kate, or like the Femigrants, when I just came to United States. Yeah,
Yeah, the power of community. I wish
you're right.
everybody can find their own community they belong to.
You're right. Yeah. Thank you, Kate. Thank you for having me today. And thanks everyone who joined, who took this important time of their days. The evening is very busy usually, and for being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you. Bye bye.
Bye.